I'm Melissa Daly, and this is the Brockport 30, a program created in Brockport for the Brockport community. Coming up this half hour, we will be taking an in-depth look at how the College of Brockport football team has become a nationally recognized force. The key to success seems to lie in the bonds forged through hard work on and off the field. Disparity based on gender in the sports world is a national problem. We'll see how gender discrimination plays out on the local fields and courts of Brockport. I'm Melissa Daly, those stories, Dan Tricozzi, and Kyle Izard, today on Brockport 30.
As a journalism and broadcasting major, I've been able to improve my skills on my favorite hobby. I've also been able to join the radio station and have a good time with it. And I've been one step closer to living my dream job as a play-by-play announcer. Helwig back out to throw, looking, trying to find open target. It's caught! JoJo Ortiz, touchdown Brockport! My name is Marty Czekala, a student at the College at Brockport, and I made this message.
I have a vision of where I see myself. Brockport's amazing journalism and broadcasting department gives me all the tools I need to achieve my dreams. Brockport gives me hands-on training with great equipment in the audio control room and camera work, with a great staff and alumni who share similar goals. Brockport lays the foundation for me to be successful and get the best shot. I'm Emily Astacio, and I produce this at the College of Brockport.
When I first came to the College of Brockport, I was completely lost. I struggled to transition to college, and I had a rocky first year. I had no idea where I wanted to go with my life. However, in my second year, I found my stride after I spoke to the professors in the communications department. They really took an interest in me and pushed me to try new things and find what I was passionate about. Since then, I've started finding myself through doing things I enjoy and working with others to prepare for a job I can be proud of. I'm John Robertson. I'm a student at the College at Brockport, and I made this message.
I'm Kyle Izard. Sports has been an integral part of American society for a very long time. In 1963, President John Kennedy signed the Equal Pay Act into law. But in sports, the wages are completely different. For instance, the highest paid NBA player makes $34 million a year, while the highest paid WNBA player makes just $110,000. To put this in an even greater perspective, the NBA's minimum salary is just over $525,000, which is just under 5 times as much as the WNBA salary. Not only does gender disparity occur in sports, it happens in college as well. On this edition of Brockport 30, we explore the gender disparity in sports at the College at Brockport.
Gender disparity is defined as the idea and situation that women and men are not equal. 45 years ago, Title IX was enacted to even the playing field. One area where this gender disparity exists is in college sports. The gap between men and women's sports is vast. Statistics are almost impossible to come by for women's sports, but with the small data that does exist, it's clear how glaring the disparity between the sports are. According to The Atlantic, the Equity in Athletics Disclosure Act of 1994 made it mandatory for colleges receiving federal funds to make all gender equality information about their athletic programs publicly available. Statistics for money put into men and women's programs at Brockport are lump sums altogether, and it is hard to defer what goes to what team. The disparity in sports, especially at the collegiate level, is clear with how certain teams are given more attention and money. Studies show that much more money is invested in men. In most schools' cases, the men's teams bring in the most money, so in return they have the most money put back into the program. Along with lack of money in the program comes lack of representation. Brockport Junior Ford, Molly Zintek, is on the women's soccer team and is one of these athletes who knows all about the disparity.
I don't think that there's an equal representation between men and women in sports. Men are often more captured in sports, and there's more action, and I think it's more publicized than female sports.
Zintek's teammate, freshman midfielder Sydney Smith, also realizes the disparity in her sport.
I don't feel like they have equal representation. I feel like men's sports are seen as a higher level, and they're covered way more than women's sports are.
Right or wrong, the spotlight is on men's sports. According to the Women's Sports Foundation, approximately 40% of those who play sports are women, but only 6 to 8% of total media sports coverage is devoted to their athletics. Mateus Oliveira, sophomore and midfielder for the men's soccer team, is supportive of his female counterparts.
I believe that they do not, but they should. For example, the sport of football, especially in this college, we have a men's team, and obviously girls don't have a football team to play for. And the football here, everyone talks about it. No one even gets attention for like other sports like soccer and stuff. But so just for that reason, probably just because men are more physical.
Lapierre says he feels that women's sports can receive the recognition it deserves through more forms of advertising. Apart from the collegiate level, gender disparity is also shown on the national scale. The U.S. women's national soccer team is beginning to stand up to end the well-known gender disparity in their respected sport. Their 2015 World Cup win got them a $2 million reward, whereas the winners of the men's tournament the year prior received $35 million. Players such as Megan Rapinoe, among other teammates, are standing up for what is right. Chris Kinsley, a junior and defender for the Brockport men's soccer team, believes that the women's soccer doesn't get the recognition that it deserves, especially at the national level.
Definitely. Like, for example, like the women's national soccer team is like much more represented in this country than the men's because the men are kind of trash and the women are just sick. So that's really good for women, I'd say, and getting recognition for our sport. So, yeah, I don't really know. Besides that, I'm not sure. Like, honestly, in my opinion, like say basketball, like you see guys going 360 dunks and all that stuff, and like that's just not something you see in the WNBA. But that doesn't mean that the WNBA isn't just as great as the NBA. You know what I'm saying? I don't think so. I think there's an equal opportunity for both men's and women. I mean, like, obviously for us, it's all the same. Like, we're D3 athletes. No one gets paid to be here. We're all just here for the love of the game.
Advisor for coaching minors, Joan Czekala, has dealt with gender disparity in sports for many years.
We were pretty excited to even have a team because back then there wasn't a lot of women's teams. A lot of colleges didn't have women's soccer teams, so we were pretty lucky that we actually had a team. But, you know, we had okay uniforms that were kind of raggedy, you know, and the men's team didn't have fantastic uniforms, but they've been around for 30 more years than we had been, so there was some disparity.
Czekala coached the women's soccer team and is the all-time most winningest coach at Brockport between the men and women. She even played Division I soccer at Cortland while she was in college. Czekala says that gender disparity doesn't only happen between teams. It can also happen while looking for coaching jobs.
Not between, I wouldn't say between men's and women's soccer. You know, those two sports, I think we've had some ADs. I mean, I went through 5 of them while I was here coaching. And now I'm on my 7th one here. But I've been pretty lucky that as far as men's and women's soccer goes, we were treated pretty evenly. Obviously, you're going to have sports like men's ice hockey and men's football that get more money because of the cost it is for those sports and the number of people that are on those teams. But I wouldn't say there was gender disparity. There was just some teams get more money than others, yeah. But I wouldn't say it's based on gender.
Much like in soccer, basketball experiences gender disparity at the collegiate level as well. Chelsea Henry, freshman and guard for the Brockport women's basketball team, thinks that the disparity in women's sports is clear when compared to men's basketball.
Boys are good, like for basketball, boys are good, and they have all this dunks and all this stuff, but I think women can compete with them and with the athletic ability and all that stuff. And people don't respect the women's game, yeah.
Likewise, sophomore and guard for the Brockport women's basketball team, Zaria McCullough believes that this disparity is present within her sport.
Personally, I don't think they do. I feel like there is a ton of more male athletes than women, and even when there is more women athletes, people don't come out to support us as much as they do the men. I feel it's present in my sport. Personally, there's a very small percentage of girls who come to play college after high school, and no one comes out to watch. There's a ton more people for the men's games rather than the women's games. I think it leads exactly to the wage gap because if you don't have representation, then there's not as many people doing it as well, so there's not as many going to the professional leagues. Therefore, they're not as popular, so there's not as much money being made in the leagues.
Tyler Collins, senior and guard for the men's basketball team, knows about the disparity between male and female athletics. From his experience of playing for the men's basketball team at Brockport, Collins believes that the lack of representation that female athletes receive isn't deserved.
Based on professional sports, men are shown on TV a lot more than women, and every time you turn on the TV, there's always some sport game that the guys are playing, whether it's college basketball, football, anything like that. Like the WNBA, you never hear about, or anything else like that. My sister plays Division I soccer, and never get to see her games on TV or anything. We always gotta wait for the one game to be streamed online. So I know all of our games are pretty much streamed online, and and we're only Division III, so it's a little different. Every night there's a different game on TV, and it's always men. I know UConn women's girls basketball is some of the best basketball you can watch, and they're only shown once a week, maybe twice. But you get smaller Division I men's schools that are on 3 times a week, and you'll never hear about them again.
Collins believes that more recognition leads to more motivation for women to compete in their respected sports.
I think if you've shown more, then more women would want to pursue a career in the sport than, go in other areas and study other stuff. I know a lot, like the drop-off from high school athletes to college for girls is way bigger than men, so I guess if you showed them more, then they would want to stick with it, and you'd have a lot more competition.
Athletes and teams will continue to stand together to end gender disparity in sports, not only at the collegiate level, but at the professional level as well. Through efforts such as Title IX, female athletes are continually striving to achieve the same recognition that men's sports get. This is Kyle Izard.
I wasn't sure where I was going in my college career. I felt insignificant, lost, and things of this nature. Then I got the point. 89.1 The Point. Broadcasting at 7,300 watts to 7 counties. It's the largest college radio station in New York State. There are 10 different departments, so there's something for everyone. Stop by our offices at Seymour Union and ask for a tour. 89.1 The Point. Stay on point with today's best new music first. I'm Michael Wazotsky, and this is my story at the College of Brockport.
When I first got to Brockport, I did not know what to expect. Early on, you will see that it will test you in more ways than one. Winning championships doesn't come easy, so you will be tested physically. Oh, you will be tested physically. But what sets Brockport apart is the mental aspect. You are around teachers that want you to be your best, and students who want the same. So don't leave Brockport with just sports memories. You will be doing yourself a disservice. My name is Aaron Pilgrim, and I produce this message.
Starting in a new school can be kind of scary at first. But it's really not so bad. By getting me out into nature, Brockport helped me to discover my true nature. And inspired me to chase my dreams. I'm John Washington, student at the College of Brockport, and I produce this message.
I'm Dan Tricozzi. What is it that makes a football team so dominant? For 6-year head coach of the Brockport Golden Eagles, Jason Mangone, it's been a combination of hard work and high expectations. Since the start of last year's season, the Golden Eagles football team has been able to exceed those expectations. Through their powerful offense led by quarterback Joe Germinario, to their commanding defense that leads NCAA in third down conversions and rushing defense, the Golden Eagles have been able to overcome years of previous struggles in the Empire 8 Conference. On this edition of Brockport 30, we take a deeper look at the team's winning formula. The Brockport Golden Eagles football team is one of the top 5 Division III football schools in the nation. The Golden Eagles made it to the Division III playoffs following a 15-year drought. Now that the dry spell is over, the team knows what it takes to win. Coming off an undefeated regular season last year, the team aims to continue their success.
It's a great experience. It makes you feel like the hard work in the summer means something because we're not just out here just to be here. We actually have a chance to do something that the school hasn't done in a long time, I feel like, which is a national championship.
This is probably the first team I've ever been on where we legitimately had third-string people who could go start at other schools we play against. We go hard every day in practice. Iron sharpens iron, so, I go hard against my teammates. They go hard against me. We all get better. So, like I said, Saturdays are easy.
The majority of the team's achievement comes from the work put into camp during the summer and in the practices during the school year. Alex Brothers, offensive lineman junior at the College of Brockport, feels that this is reflective of their success so far.
Honestly, just like Book said, camp, everybody worked hard, everybody pushes, and it's just, an amazing experience to see everybody that actually genuinely cares and goes hard every day. Nobody gets better unless they have someone to push them, and everybody here pushes each other and wants everybody to get better, no matter if someone's above you or below you, everyone helps, and it's amazing.
Through the work put in at camp and practice, a bond has been established amongst players of the Brockport football team. According to linebacker and junior at the College of Brockport, Alex West, the brotherhood amongst his team is unbreakable.
Amongst the team, we were tight in high school, but I've never been a part of anything like this. Yeah, we're all so close. I mean, if we're not hanging out here, if we're in the dining hall, we're all sitting together. After Saturdays, we're out and about, we're together. We're just tight. I mean, I can't really explain it any other than that.
Joe Germinario, quarterback for the Brockport Golden Eagles, believes that there aren't any weaknesses with the team, from their offensive line to their defensive core, which is what puts them above their competition.
No weaknesses, really. I just think offense, defensively, we're just sharp from our skill position to our offensive line, and then I think our defense has just been phenomenal all year, and they were from game one of last year with their defensive front, our linebackers to our secondary. There's really just no weaknesses.
Germinario plays a vital leadership role as the team's captain. Despite capturing the old-time passing record for a Brockport football quarterback with 6,701 yards, he focuses on his team's achievements before his own.
Trying to be a leader and trying to just manage the game and just put our team in good situations. I trust Coach Mangoni to give us the right play call. It's my job to execute and get our guys in the right spots and deliver the ball accurately, running the ball to the right technique, things like that, where I have to do my job, and then, again, with all the talent on the offense, it comes easy.
Jason Mangone, head coach of the Brockport Golden Eagles, has been coaching the team since 2013. He was named the American Football Coaches Association National and Regional Coach of the Year in 2017, after leading the Golden Eagles to their record-breaking 13-1 record and an appearance in the NCAA Final Four. Mangone believes that the majority of the team's triumph hasn't entirely been through his coaching, but through his players' self-determination.
I would say it was 100% due to the players. We're not going to give those awards back by no means, but it had less to do with me and our staff than it had to do with anything. Our players are self-driven, they're motivated, they're intense, they're competitive, and we joke around that we in 2014 we had our two starting quarterbacks go down within 14 plays of each other and went 5-5. That was maybe the best coaching year we ever had, not when we went 13-1, just because we had little to do. When your players are as talented as we have and self-driven as they are, you find yourself as a coach doing less, rather than when you're not as talented, you have to do more. So it's completely a team honor and really more reflective of our players. But at the end of the day, these guys have to be self-driven, because when we're not watching them, what are you doing? And when we're not watching our guys, they're continuing to work out, they're doing what they're asked to do. So when you have 100 individuals that are all going their separate ways for the summer, you have to trust in them that they're doing what we're asking them to do. And they all came back in the fall ready to go physically, which tells me and our staff that they did what they were supposed to do. So because they're so self-driven and competitive, it's really just a reflection of the individuals we have.
At the end of the season, Mangone wants his team to be the last one standing, with a record of 15-0 and a national championship.
The expectation is to win every one and prepare our tails off the way we can, and hopefully the result works in our favor. We never really talk about score. We just talk about giving all of our effort that we can, preparing the right way, and sometimes the results with the talent we have in conjunction will happen. But we don't want to be a one-hit wonder. We want to be a sustainable program that every year, year in and year out, competes for championships. And that's our goal, and anybody that's in our program understands that is our goal, and we are never going to be expecting anything less.
Through their hard work and determination, the Brockport Golden Eagles look to top their performance in last year's NCAA Division III playoffs. With their winning formula for success so far, this expectation may just become a reality. This is Daniel Tricozzi.
Welcome back to the Brockport 30. I'm Marty Czekala, and I'm joined here by the two gentlemen that wrote these packages for your entertainment, Dan Tricozzi and Kyle Izard. Gentlemen, how are you two doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Marty?
I'm doing good. First off, thank you guys for being on the set today to talk about this. So let's start off with the Brockport football package. Dan, what made you want to create this package?
Well, the football team here is just so dominant, and especially last year, making it to the semifinals, NCAA, they did amazing, and I think they're going to keep doing good moving forward, and obviously this season they're undefeated.
Oh, so definitely undefeated right now, yeah.
They're definitely a team to talk about, especially a sports team here. Definitely want to talk about.
Yes, for those of you that do not follow Division III football, Brockport last year made it to the semifinals of the NCAA Division III championship, and this year, so far, it's a great season for them. So yeah,
Let's go to you, Kyle. Gender disparity. What made you want to do this package?
Yeah, so I was a late addition to the group because in my first group, one of my partners dropped it, so I was happy to be able to join with Dan. And gender disparity in sports has always been a thing. It's like if an NBA game is on TV or something like that, and people are like, oh, let's watch it, and if someone says a WNBA game is on TV, then they're like, hey, well, what do I really want to do with that? And I was also at the college level when it comes to how money is distributed to the teams. Obviously, the football team gets a lot of different money and stuff like that, and they just got a new locker room and all that. And the girls' teams and other teams really don't have things. So gender disparity in college sports is definitely up there.
Yeah, so let's talk about the issues you guys face with this project. So, Dan, what were the big issues on your part?
Well, the biggest issue, I think, with me is just being the one reporter on the team, obviously. Because there was a lot of responsibility for me, not only just writing the script, but the establishing what interviews I had to get, like scheduling those interviews, and also ultimately just like making sure that the right questions were asked, because I want the flow to be good. Obviously, a news story, you want the flow to be good, and obviously questions were good, I thought, and I thought the answers were good as well. Just a lot of stress on my part, I think. And also another big issue, I think, was establishing what sound bites really worked. So obviously we had 5 player interviews and the coach, obviously, and we only used 3 of them in the package, 3 player interviews. But we could still utilize, I think, some of those player interviews in the package, but I think that was also another issue. And also just the organization and determining what the structure would be of the package, I think, was a big one.
What would you say was the strongest interview you had of all the player and coach interviews?
Definitely Mangone. He was the strongest interview. He had so much to say. And it was just made it way more easier to put it in the package. And honestly, 2 of the sound bites are very long, but what he said encompassed the whole story, and I think it just added more depth to it, really.
Definitely, for real. So let's go to you, Kyle. What were the issues you had with your package?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot better going into having 2 reporters on the second package because the writing was more distributed and it was better, and it came out a lot better than both of our first packages, at least I think. It was difficult scheduling interviews, especially because some of the team seasons weren't in season yet. So we just had soccer at first, and now that we're starting to get into basketball and we have basketball set up, that'll make it a more broad story and actually hit gender disparity in all sports instead of just soccer.
It'll definitely go from those multiple viewpoints you have from not just the females and the males in soccer, but definitely in females and men's basketball, like we were talking about the NBA and the WNBA.
Right.
The WNBA doesn't get that much coverage. P.S. Shout out to them. They do a great job. But yeah. So what do you think was your strongest interview?
Definitely Joan Czekala. I have a class with her, and I remember I was sitting in class, and Dan and I were trying to think of who are we going to get for that interview that was either a coach or an advisor or something. And I kind of just like hit me. I was like, wait a minute, I'm in class. She is the most all-time winningest coach at Brockport between men and women. So I might as well just go up and ask her. And she agreed, and her interview was great. She answered all the questions. She was talking about disparity in sports and said how she played when she played at Cortland back when she was in college, and that even back then it was a little bit more disparity, and how the men's team, even though they were around 30 years longer, had way better jerseys, better coverage, and the girls kind of had rattier jerseys. So it was really interesting to hear from her point of view.
Yeah, so let's just get a little bit more in depth on that gender disparity deal. Like we were talking about NBA, WNBA, we could also talk about the FIFA soccer stuff. The Women's World Cup mentioned in the video, about $2 million with the men making $35 million. That's insane that the ladies aren't making that much. I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, especially because the women's team is just so much better than the men's team here. They get, I wouldn't even say that they get more coverage. They actually get equal coverage, which is how it should be. And just the men's team didn't even make the last World Cup. They didn't qualify for it. And the women's team is out there winning, and they're only getting $2 million compared to the last team that won the men's World Cup got $35 million. So it's definitely outrageous.
Yeah, all right. Let's get back to Dan, because it seems like we've been leaving him out to dry for a little bit. So, Dan, Brockport football, let's talk about the players. You obviously have a great quarterback out there by the name of Joe Germinario. What are your thoughts on him so far?
Great guy. Good interview as well. I mean, he's just a very open guy, and obviously he's the leader for the team. You know, he put the team on his back, essentially, and he's being a little humble in the interview, but I think he really has just led this team to being as dominant as it is now.
What were your thoughts, by the way, on the Brockport-Cortland game where Brockport clinched their second Empire 8 championship in a row?
That was an intense game, first of all. That was the closest game of the season, I think. And yeah, they clinched it, and then I had a feeling they would because they're just a really good team. And I think, yeah, they can keep doing that moving forward, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And your thoughts on Rashad Baker with those 4 interceptions in the game?
Yeah, that was solid. I mean, they really just added to how they won, really.
Let's go to both of you now. If you could improve one thing on your packages, what would you guys say? Danny.
Well, obviously, just first of all, structuring it better, like having less of me talking, having the story talk for itself, really, and you know, just better organizing the interviews. I think that would have really been good for the package, definitely.
What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, more B-roll, and then definitely inserting the interviews for basketball team and the B-roll of the basketball team, and a couple more interviews. So that'll definitely make it a lot better and a solid piece.
Definitely. I wonder who has to put those in there.
Yeah.
You're looking at the guy with 2 thumbs. So let's go back to football real quick. We got a lot of time left before we have to cut to the credits. So the gender disparity. What other sports do you think it's in besides soccer and basketball that we didn't mention about in the video?
Gender disparity is in all sports. I mean, it doesn't just there's obviously no women's football, but it's covered more. Just because there's not a women's football team doesn't mean women's sports shouldn't have to be covered. They should get equal amounts of time. Obviously, what makes more money is going to be what's covered, but it's not exactly fair.
Not only do you think it comes down to that, but it could come down to advertisements as well. So if you watch NBA, it wasn't this for this season, but last season they just added advertisements onto their Nike jerseys. Oh, I don't know if I'm about to say that, but going back and then WNBA, they've had the deal with Verizon for many years on jerseys and a Mayo Clinic, et cetera, et cetera. So do you think it could be advertising as well, related to the gender disparity thing?
Yeah, it helps bring in money to the sport, so I think that's why women resorted to it first. Because it was allowing their sport to get more money and they would get more revenue because they could have been hurting it sometimes, and now the men went to it. I know the Euro leagues and stuff like that has had the advertisements on their jersey for a while.
Do you think as well that the WNBA, because I know the NBA, they sometimes get all their games broadcasted on ABC, do you think WNBA could do that as well?
They definitely should be able to. It would be fair that way, and I think if people watch it, it should get the same amount of views because it's still basketball and it's still entertaining to watch. There's still close games. I don't know if anyone watched the WNCAA championship game against UConn Notre Dame when Notre Dame hit a buzzer beater to win the game, which was very entertaining to watch.
Definitely with Arike Ongambuwale, whatever you pronounce that last name. And now let's go back to football actually, since we still got some time. I say that a lot. But what are you expecting as a recording this right now? Brockport's gonna be going to nationals and they're playing Saturday. What are you looking forward to in their first matchup versus Framingham?
Just gotta play that same mindset they've been playing with since the beginning of last year. You know, win games, do whatever it takes to win the games. And obviously, with the interview with Mangone, he told us, you know, this team is very dominant and they take control of the game. It's not even him; it's just them. So they have to keep doing what they're doing, and then moving forward, I think they can do it. Really.
And when you talked with Mangone a few weeks ago about that, he said that once he took over the reins of head coach, his goal was to win championships, go 15-0. So what are your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, if you have that mindset as a coach, you can just lead your team and just really be able to win that championship. I think they can do it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we're going to wrap it up here. I'd like to thank you two, Dan and Kyle, for coming in. Also like to thank Emily, who also shot some of the packages, and Kelvin, our director. For you guys and the rest of our production crew, I'm Marty Czekala. This has been the Brockport 30. We'll see you next time.